And here it is. We are live on Facebook, everybody. I hit got it, and we're here. Welcome, everybody, to week 99 on Facebook Live, friends and family, Becker Vineyards family there. And thank you so much for inviting us once again into your home to enjoy these amazing wines, these gold medal winners from San Francisco Chronicle 2022 this year. So these are current, these are fresh, amazing wines. So want to first introduce once again the families Beckers, the Dr. Richard Becker, our owner, Dr. Joseph Becker, our owner as well, and that do an amazing job with these beautiful wines. What's that?
Rat de chez, French word for celebrate.
That's right. Rats all around. Then we have, yes, sir. Oh,
Joe, you'd like to mention why we're actually here for 99 weeks. 99 weeks, I can't believe it. So I will say that it's always wonderful to come and share this tasting with everybody out there, and with Bobby and Kaylin and Dad and Margaret tonight. And one of I'm thinking about my day, starting off this morning with the warmest temperature of the day here in San Antonio, being freezing cold, and having my 4-year-old and 7-year-old come and jump in bed with me this morning because they were freezing cold. But that always reminds me of, I guess the only bright aspect for me about this pandemic has been that we've all just sort of been cuddling indoors with our families. We get a weekly update from my children's school about how many cases of COVID there are, and it's nice to see that coming down. And boy, as I always say, I appreciate all the teachers out there, what they're doing for my children. They're braving, they're teaching, they're in the classroom. I have to say what a remarkable job they've done with my children's school, Keystone in San Antonio. But anyways, it's always wonderful to share this moment with everybody out there. And I know that we have some wonderful wines to taste this evening.
And just another reason for everybody to get vaccinated is that we still, I think, half of the people in Texas have not had full vaccination, but also the dogs, the cats, the zoo animals, the deer. This is an equal opportunity virus, and we need to limit its habitat, which is mainly us, so that it doesn't have a place to thrive and grow and infect everyone. And our continued hats off to all the people fighting this battle in the front lines. But what a treat to have these wines. And Bobby, thank you for choosing them. And I'm excited to taste them.
yes, sir. I mean, the idea of, we talked about, what do we want to do for our 100? And then you had mentioned something about doing double gold. So hearing about all these awards that we've been getting, and to build up to that point of double gold, through the silver, the gold, and then the double gold on the week 100, I think nothing's better than that. So yeah, that's what we got together tonight. So I believe we're going to start off with our 2018 Chardonnay Reserve from the Talent Vineyards. So hour and a half west of here. So y'all got your glasses ready? It's swirl and sniff and ready to go.
So always fun to taste. We've tasted several of these Chardonnays in the past few weeks, and certainly in the prior 98 tastings. And it's always fun to kind of vacillate between the fruit that we get from Drew Talent's vineyard in Mason County, or Mrs. Canada's Chardonnay vineyard up in Plains. Probably, my personal opinion, two of the great Chardonnay vineyards in the world, and it produced incredible fruit. Drew, talking about his fruit tonight. Drew Talent is a absolutely wonderful grower. He's had property in his family in Mason County for many generations going back, and it has a very personal note for us because we have a great or so grandfather who was the sheriff of Mason County during the Civil War. So it has some special meaning for our family as well. And my last thing I'll say is I introduced this wine is just how incredible the fruit in this wine is. That the almost kind of, we talked a little bit about it in his vineyard before, almost kind of an old world note on this wine.
And we always need to have a Latin note, right? And so, but I had an amazing experience yesterday. I had some new patients, and the man who'd come with his wife was looking at the books on my sideboard, and he said, "You and I have common interest, Latin and Shakespeare." I said, "You're exactly right, but I don't usually bring that up." But the Latin aspect of this is that Chardonnay is named for the name of the town near where it was first discovered, which was a Latin town called Cardonicum, and that's where the name Chardonnay comes from. And that in Latin it means a place of thistle. So, for whatever that's worth.
Whoa, hang on now. Let's
and artichoke.
Let's talk about Latin expertise here. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to let this go.
I knew I was going to suffer. Sorry.
I'm going to share two stories. I'm sorry, these are not totally wine related, but I'm sitting here with Dad. I've got to call him out on this. So when I was in the 6th grade, and my mother was very sick with breast cancer at the time, and my parents moved me to a wonderful school, St. Mary's Hall here in San Antonio. I was very lucky to get an education like that. And I came 6 weeks late into the school year, and they were teaching Latin at the time. And so this wonderful Latin teacher, Mrs. Rayhill, and she gave me some sentences to go home and work on. I took them home. There were about 10 of them. And Dad, of course, pointed out to me that he had some experience and expertise in Latin from college. And so we did our best. It was just the two of us at home. Mom was off at Duke getting cancer treatment, and went to school the next day. And I said, "Mrs. Rayhill, my father said he knows a fair amount about Latin, so he helped me translate through all these sentences." And she looked at us. She was just a very smart, patient person, but she said, they're all wrong. But let's go through
but this, I've heard this story before. The truth is, they were not exactly right.
That's awesome.
Okay, but there might have been a slight verb tense or error, but basically they were all correct. They just weren't perfectly correct. Now
here's the other story. So flash forward about 2 years later, I've now had 2 or 3 years of Latin, and Dad was driving me to school, and we were running late. We were going to be late to school. There was traffic, and they, of course, were going to require me to have a note signed by a parent explaining why I was late. I started writing the note, and Dad adamantly refused to write the note unless I wrote it in Latin, that we were running late because of traffic. And we signed it. So I think I, on the fly, came up with something about the chariots were caught in some sort of congestion on the freeway. Use your imagination. And I took it to, I think her name was Mrs. Noto, is the secretary. And she looked at it, and she looked at me, she said, "What is this?" And I said, "My father made me do this." She said, "Just go to class. I'm not going to tell the principal about this."
It really was congestion. I thought I had something to do with the composition of that letter, but I'll memory takes. But the other funny Latin thing I was telling my patient about was that when we first planted lavender, I wanted to create a T-shirt that said, "I came, I saw, I planted lavender" in Latin. And so the funny thing was that no one was quite sure to say correctly how the word to plant a lavender plant. And so I consulted both the classic section at Trinity and the classic section at UT, and each came up with a different verb.
I did some Latin at the University of Chicago, and you asked me.
Yeah,
we
had three sources, but there was a little bit of a conflagration between the classics departments at Trinity and UT, and they were sending nasty notes back and forth about how one verb was better than the other. But anyways, Weenie Weenie Savi Levandulo is what we came up with from Austin. And now that's the Latin discussion. And
Not Texas Tech.
not Texas Tech, no. So how about the Chardonnay?
How about the Chardonnay?
Did
This
that
is
just
very
feel like a bad Saturday Night Live skit? I'm sorry.
It was so good. I thoroughly enjoyed that.
Probably Bill Murray. I can see this coming. Oh, by the way, I want to say that at the end of the year, Joe won the medal for the best Latin student in 6th grade.
I did.
And I thought I should get a medal for the best Latin parent, but nothing happened. So I had to pay the bill. Okay, so Chardonnay.
But I'm cheap.
Crickets chirping, right?
Yeah, right.
So Kaylin, Bobby, you guys both have great palates. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this wine.
Kaylin,
All
You'd
right,
like to-
all right. So the first time I tried this wine was out of barrel, and it had this beautiful essence of butterscotch, and obviously that's coming from the French oak that it was aged in. And now that it's bottled and has had some time to kind of develop a little bit further and develop further without oak influence, I'm picking up quite a bit of like yellow apple on the nose, and maybe hints of almost guava, pineapple, very tropical fruits, and maybe some really soft floral characteristics as well. Hints of spice, maybe like vanilla or clove. And on the palate, I'm picking up kind of similar qualities, maybe some peaches as well, hints of almond and brioche, and that's aging on the lees. It's just a beautiful Chardonnay. It's one of my favorites, and so I'm so pleased to see that it did so well in San Francisco, and then also to be enjoying it tonight before we get this little freeze that we're anticipating.
Most definitely. So I too enjoyed this out of barrel, and the flavor profile, the depth, just the layers that it has, showcases is so beautiful. Definitely getting the Meyer lemon characteristic to it. A little bit of almost like a cardamom kind of showcases in there.
Right.
Some floral notes, definitely some gardenia. But just that rich, that brioche, that body to it that came from, I guess, being Sir Lee, aging on lees, and that characteristic that showcase is just beautiful.
Yeah.
See, and I think that this wine is good because it has so much nuance. It's rich and warm, but it's still fruity and bright. And I think it's a gorgeous food pairing wine as well, just because it does have both of those qualities and such a symbiotic relationship.
And one thing I would point out, one thing I was very, very proud that I got to go do this weekend for the winery was to go and collect a saddle for Top Texas Winery at the Houston Stock Show and Rodeo, and a couple of these wines that we're tasting are gold medal winners from there, including this Talent 18 Chardonnay. And I know that one of the debates we have about this Chardonnay is oak aging, and I know that John has aged this all extensively in French, probably for, I don't know if we pulled this one a little bit earlier or not, but
I think about 16 months.
16 months, yeah. And it's just beautiful, beautiful fruit.
Definitely agree. I mean, I know that this one will be showcased more in like restaurant and retail outlets. So be on the lookout for this, being out into the marketplace and to like a great state kind of a capacity. Is because we're going to go ahead and transition from 17 that's in the tasting room onto 19. So you'll get to see a little bit of difference there.
And Dad, you and I love we love Chablis, we love Burgundy. How does this, I was trying to think where this strikes me in terms of some of the great Chardonnays that I've tasted with you from Burgundy. I think it maybe some Chablis, maybe even maybe almost kind of a Montrachet character.
That's what I think. Yeah, the Chablis tends to be made in stainless steel
Yeah.
and tends to have more acid and more minerality. And this is a kind of a riper form that was in French oak for a year and a half roughly. And I think it's very much like a Montrachet or a Merceau,
Yeah.
for that part. But I love French wine, and I love trying to make French wine, and and we're blessed to have a winemaker who feels the same way. So that's been one of the nicest things for us, I think, in the last decade.
Totally have to agree. Now, Gary Clark had to respond and say, Veni Vidi Eddie BB Vino, y'all. So, so we appreciate that, Gary.
My favorite was always Semper Ubi Sub Ubi. I'm making Dad's groaning about that, but it's a series of Latin words literally meaning always wear underwear. Except Semper for always, Ubi for wear, WHERE, Uber under UNDER, WHERE. So anybody that's had some Latin usually knows that one.
That's great. That is awesome.
In just a few days, I figured it out. So, but it's fun to taste this wine. I'm sure proud of it, and I love it when a wine many times wines you love don't do so well, and to have one that all three of these I really love them, and it's fun to have them be recognized by others in a blind tasting. That's the great thing for me.
Oh, exactly. So when people come in and they mention to our Chardonnay, and they're so impressed because we've talked about it a bunch about the preconceived notion of what they've had as Chardonnay and the expression of Chardonnay. So this just the way the fruit showcases itself and the subtleties that they can enjoy, just the different layers that it can express. It's just so fun. It's really nice.
I think too, we don't. Just another thing to point out, and as I mentioned earlier, we talk about a lot of our great growers. We talk about the farmhouse guys. We talk about the Canadas. I think enough or Jet or VJ, but I think enough cannot be said about Drew Talent, his dedication. Just when you see his vineyard, it's beautiful. It's sort of almost sort of a beautiful prairie of vineyards, and somebody who clearly loves what he does, and someone who's very, very amazing at it.
Yeah. So, shall we go to the Claret?
Yeah.
I believe so.
This is 2019.
And kind of an interesting blend. 41% Cab, 20% Merlot, 15% Malbec, 12% Petit Verdot, 12% Cab Franc, all of the major Bordeaux varietals. Les Trois Dames, thinking of Mrs. Canada, Mrs. Newsom, and
Mrs. Hunter.
Mrs. Hunter, thank you.
Yeah.
So some great red growing vineyards. Can I ask you, when did you have the idea to first make a claret?
To make a
Claret. When did that?
Well, I think Joe asked the idea of making a claret, and I think when we planted this vineyard, we planted all 5 of the red Bordeaux varieties in the first planting in '92 in the back vineyard. So I loved Bordeaux, and I think that your palate evolves from Bordeaux to Burgundy to maybe something even softer as it ages. But I love Bordeaux. How about you guys? How about the younger generation? Where are you on favorite red wine? Are you Bordeaux or Burgundy, or do you have a
Burgundy? Starting out, I was less familiar with even the difference between the two, or how dramatic stylistically they are. But I appreciate Bordeaux, big bold reds. I love a Sauvignon Blanc. I love turnstile wines. But I also tend to appreciate some of the a tidbit of Brettanomyces that exists in Burgundy frequently. I know that is somewhat of a touchy subject for some. But I think it's really nice being from the Panhandle. It feels, the wine smells like things I've smelled before in life, and I'm able to pick up more nuances. And I think that being in Texas with the heat, enjoying a nice Pinot Noir is fantastic. Something a little bit less heavy, and even Beaujolais I love. So there's my tidbit on it. Bobby, how about you?
We agree with you.
But the name Claret just came for it. It's what the English have always called red wines of Bordeaux, and I thought it would be fun to use that. And since we were approved to use it, it's taken back by the French. But because we're grandfathered, we're able to put Claret on our label, and only a few wineries are able to do that. It's just a silly timing thing, and but so it's I like the name.
And I'm sorry, Bobby, just to say one more thing. You and I love history, and I always feel like it's always fun for me to think that one of my favorite historical characters was Eleanor of Aquitaine. As I've said before, this Claret was one of her favorite wines in Bordeaux. It was said to be the wine that she loved the most.
This wine, to my palate, as a Bordeaux, is a Saint-Emilion. It's delicate. It's a blend, and it contains less than 50% Cabernet, and some wonderful additions of Malbec and Petit Verdot and Cabernet Franc and Merlot. It's a lovely Claret. This is a Claret that I think should be called Claret, and wonderfully smooth. This, I think, on the palate, this is kind of a complex wine. How do you all see this? How do you think about it when you're tasting? What do you?
So I totally agree. I mean, just the softness. It's so silky. And I do have to agree with Susan about the baking spice on the nose. Definitely get those clove characteristics, almost allspice. Little hints of pepper that kind of showcase on the finish. But also picking up a little bit of the cherries, the raspberries, almost like a hint of like stewed plums. But so silky. What about you, Caleb? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I pick up some baking spices, but I'm also picking up something that's leaning more towards maybe perhaps thyme or dill, and that herbaceous edge. Maybe some really soft, like violet or something along those lines, which I would attribute to the Petit Verdot. And I'm pleasantly surprised by how smooth and soft these tannins are on a 2019 that is 41% cap. That is astonishing to me. It's a very young wine, and it's still beautiful. It is presenting gorgeous. I'm picking up some lovely fruits. It's got quite a bit of activity on the nose and on the palate. It doesn't feel like it's falling flat anywhere. It doesn't feel disjointed, and it's gorgeous. This is my first time trying this wine and the 18 Canada, and I am smitten with both.
So two points I saw looking at the comments. One, this is a wine you will find in HEB. This is a distribution wine for us. You can also get it at the winery, but and actually you can find a similar version of it. We did the Unida blend with Coppola, which is also they're the other kind of marketplace Claret that you'll see at the grocery store. The second thing, I think it was Lane Schuhart who was mentioning about learning about the word Claret, and I will never forget anybody that has come to our tasting room in years past and ever met Henri, the ever lively Henri. And one time I said, Henri, this is, I learned that Claret is what the English called, red Bordeaux drinking wine. never, it is not an English word, it's claret, it's French. But anybody that ever met Henri, whenever I have claret, I always think of a wonderful Henri at the bar.
Well, it's actually from the Latin word clarus for clear. And I guess that when the wine began to fall, when the red wine began to fall clear, it was
Interesting.
it was vin claret, vin claret. It's a middle English word with the Latin connection, and used to distinguish a red wine from white wine. So that's very useful. Yeah.
It all comes back to the Latin.
It's funny. We'll have people that will come into the winery and say, "Hey, you know, I love your claret," and get it out in HEB, and it's not currently available for sale for pouring at the winery outside of the virtual tasting.
Yes, I'm sorry.
No worries. I figured I would touch on that real quick, but it's really fun to show them the collaboration that we did with Coppola, as you'd mentioned, and people are like, "Oh," and it's fun for them to see that one. While we can make the same style of wine, the same type of wine, the difference that you get from all Texas fruit versus a blend of California versus Texas, and that's been a fun talking point for people as well, just to showcase like, hey, we got to do this really awesome thing with the other person that has the marketplace wine called Claret, and why it's not called that in our winery, and it brings about a lot of conversation just about terminology in wine. I guess it's fun.
And also along with that, Kaylin, it was kind of a fun story because their winery CEO Corey Beck, who's just a wonderful, nice person in the wine industry, was kind of as John will point out, was sort of an early mentor to him in the wine industry, and sort of advised him on developing his career. And he reached out to us to make that blend, and really just as long as they wanted John to do all the blending. It was 50% of the wine was Napa grapes and 50% was Texas grapes. And I think he really, as we do, admire John as a winemaker, and that was a really fun collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
But let's back to this wine, Bobby. This wine is a delicate Cabernet blend. It's so kind of unexpected when you first taste it. You think about, is Cabernet going to have all the intense alcohol and focus that comes with a lot of the Napa cabs? They're very good. I love them. This is a different wine. This is a French wine. I don't think anyone would pick this up and say this is California wine.
No, not one bit.
This is Texas wine.
Well, I think it's interesting too, because normally when we taste, I feel like when we taste a red or a red Bordeaux in Texas that has this much Cab Franc, as John calls them, pyrazines, but that kind of green pepper note, I don't think you get that as much in this wine, despite the fact that it's, I think, 12% Cab Franc. You get really wonderful fruit on the front palate, and just a very smooth finish. It's just the Cab Franc note in this wine is a little different. I think it's either the Merlot or the Cabernet or maybe the Petit Verdot.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I mean, the layers on this is just so beautiful that it does have that highlight of the cab there, but going through the softer the subtle fruits that just kind of showcase in there, it's beautiful. And the tannin structure it's soft and it's really nice, which I think, I mean, the ageability, I mean, I would see at least 5-10 years on it too. So
completely agree. I think this is going to be an interesting wine. I think it's going to really mature nicely in the bottle.
So, shall we go to the famous Canada Cab?
Let's do it.
Thank you.
right here with you.
I had one sniff of it earlier and one tiny sip, so very excited.
I know it. Oh, boy. And this is
18.
You know, I thought John could never make a better Cabernet than the 17. I could be wrong. You know,
Ah,
the nose on this is just fabulous.
I just think it's, I'm sure I've said this 1,000 times. I just walking into her vineyard is just such a incredible experience. It looks like it just has, it looks like, it looks like the end of the Shawshank Redemption when he says you're going to find a note under a rock that has no business being there. It's a volcanic rock is sitting on the fence line. This is a rocky, dark soil in the middle of red Texas Martian landscape. They've got, and what I always say, when you drive into their vineyard, there's a big pile of all the rocks that they've used jackhammers to get to dig each post hole in their vineyard, and it's almost like they've got all the rocks from that as sort of a trophy to show how hard it was to plant their vineyard. But it yields such incredible fruit.
And I heard something about it's like the largest deciduous forest like in Texas. Like it's, I guess it's not like big trees or anything, but it's like the shrubbery that goes across.
It's a dwarf pine, and it's the largest forest of this particular species. The plants only get about this tall. They make amazing pine cones, and apparently have enormous root distribution that allows them to get through the drought and all the problems and the wind in that part of the world. I guess because the wind is so severe, they decided to do it without great height, where they'd blow over. And it was a decision they made somewhere. John will work that out.
That's good.
But
That's good.
This wine, I'm trying to. So when I taste one of our wines that I'm so proud of, I like to try to figure out what I'm actually smelling and tasting. If you had to make a glass of French wine, I don't think you would pick this out as a California wine. I don't think you'd pick this out as a Texas wine, which it certainly is. But you'd think this must be French. And gosh, Joe, sort of Aubryon, Margaux, it has that kind of, and those are very different. But is this blended or not? Do we know? Do we have those notes about maybe there's a few percent of Cab Franc or Merlot, or do we know that on this?
I am searching as we speak. From my understanding, it is solely Cab, but there could be a bit more information that hasn't yet been released to us, because this wine is not the current vintage at the winery either. This is a not yet been released Cab out there. We're still chipping away.
Let's hold all of this. This is too good.
It's delicious.
Wow.
I have to agree.
And I'm sorry, Debbie's asking about awards. Debbie, I have a few more to tell you, but I will tell you this. This is another one that won gold for us in Houston this past weekend, the 18th. But let me. I know we've got some other awards for this wine.
Gold medal in San Francisco.
Gold medal in San
That's
Francisco.
right. That's
on this list. Yeah, that's exciting. Boy. Somehow, anybody else feel that this tastes slightly different than other Canada cabs? Do you see that?
100%.
Yeah, and maybe the vines are getting another year of maturity before we get to make them. Any thoughts?
No, I was going to say, just very simplistically, I feel like this has much darker, more sophisticated notes than what you.
Yeah.
Typically, normally her wines develop a lot of these notes, but several years, after in the bottle.
Oh my God. It's the 1575 Chardonnay Inspector.
Look at this.
Is that also morality? Is that a morality inspector?
Are you in first class on an airplane? Where is this picture from?
Yeah, no, oddly enough, my flights.
Greyhound. Say Greyhound at all.
Yeah, Greyhound. Can't you tell from the seat?
It's not overhead lighting.
Yeah. Sorry, it's a little obnoxious. How about that?
You look sharp, John.
Uh,
It's his halo.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
It's-
John, you deserve a halo for this wine. We're just saying it,
wow. I should join these things more often.
In lieu of hair, John, a halo. But I mean,
No doubt. So
this wine is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So, John, the question is, this wine has another level of intensity and complexity from the same grapes from the same vineyard. And
Right.
how do you explain that? A year of maturity, or do you think?
Well, I certainly think so. I think there's a little bit to be said for that. So you guys are you tasting the 18 or the 19?
19,
18.
18, pardon, 18.
The 18. Okay. Yeah. So the 16 was all Canada, the 17 was the blend, so 18. And then of course the next release, the 19, will also be all of talent. So the 18 and 19 are all talent on there. But we did manage to keep that wine in barrel for about 2 years.
You're talking about the Chardonnay.
You're talking
Yes.
about the Chardonnay.
We were on the cab.
We're talking about
I'm sorry.
Canada Cab.
Okay. Canada Cab. It would probably be good if I paid attention to Kaylin's little text notes to let me know where we were at.
Trying.
Kaylin, you're doing
I
a
was
great
about to.
job. Unfortunately, I'm not paying attention. Yeah. Oh, no, that Canada Cab 2018 was an excellent follow-up to the 2017. Yes, it is a year younger, but we lost nothing in several of those cab vineyards on the 18. It was I don't know how to explain it completely because, 17 was such an incredibly mature year. With that 18, though, there was a development. We did have a cooler start to the season. We had a little bit more moisture in 18, but we had some great phenolic development.
But John, in this wine, there's there's an intensity, kind of a richness that's different from the 17. Any thoughts about why that would be, other than just the harvest year and the grapes are a year older?
Well, the 18, I saugneed quite a bit more off of the 18. There's a tiny amount of Petit Verdot in the 18. See, Kaylin, I do pay attention to your cheat sheet notes.
But it makes sense that you would have saugneed more off this one, John, because I remember, as we've always said, 18, was hotter, more concentrated on the vine, smaller clusters, I think.
They were smaller clusters, but the saugné doesn't have to be more necessarily, Joe. It's just that it would have more of an effect because of the smaller berries. So you're getting less juice, but you will increase that juice to skin ratio a lot quicker with less saugné on there. But I know 18, I did a lot of experimenting with both Merlots and Cabs, trying to increase concentration through low impact manipulative technique like saugné, like extended maceration, cooler ferment at beginning with hotter ferment at finish. As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, every time I came into the winery, I was increasing the temperature at which the glycol would turn on the tank so that the temperature in the core would go up until the point where Rachel came into my office and said, "Are you trying to stick every ferment in the winery?" And my answer was yes, but it won't happen. But yeah, so a few of those just very, very minor tweaks will get you a much different wine.
Yeah, just the depth.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing wine. Way to go, boy.
Yeah, and I am sincerely trying to convince everybody here in Kentucky to start carrying Texas wine.
Or at least allowing us to ship to them. Goodness, they're missing out.
I know, but they keep looking at me like I'm from somewhere from New England or something. I don't know. So.
Well said, Susan, a true chemist.
Yeah. True chemist. true crazy guy sitting there in the lab going, I wonder what I could do to make Rachel's life more difficult.
You wake up and say, "Hey, I have an idea what to do today."
Yeah, according to the two women that I spend the most time with in my life, Rachel and my wife, that's probably exactly what they think I do. But Rachel and I actually had a really great discussion earlier this week about tastings, wines going through, with the early advent of tastings and things, and some of the things that you do as a winemaker, as Rachel and I are, you sit down and you're like, okay, so the last few years we've done it this way. Are we happy with the results? What if we did this? What if we did that? So we start that discussion well before harvest happens. So over the next several months, it'll be a series of micro discussions on what we can do to tweak for the better, or if there's anything we need to do, or were we happy? To be honest with you, 18 and 19 were great years. 19 was a bit of a challenge because of the late rains, but 18 actually was a very brilliant follow-up to 2017, which was really nice in our industry to have.
You bet.
And I want to draw. So did you guys talk about the article that just came out in Texas Monthly?
I read it. We didn't talk about it. No.
Yeah,
but
about how the end is nigh.
No, not.
No. I like the sensational headline to that, though. That was nice.
Well, they're selling magazines, right? So
Right.
Exactly. It's all to catch your eye. It's the hook. Now, yeah.
Bobby, I have to say, I love the fact you're downtown, and I like your new headdress.
Thank you. No, appreciate it. Awesome.
Hey, by the way, Mr. Totten, happy birthday.
Yes.
Now there we go. Can we sing?
You look pretty good for a 19-year-old.
21.
Not at all. That's 38.
Nice. Oh, good. In 2 years, we really get to give you a lot of trouble. So which wines have you done so far besides the cab? Which
We had the 18 Reserve Chard, the Talent Vineyard. We did the Claret, the 2019 Claret, which was just a very interesting wine. Wonderful fruit, a wine I think we all felt like is going to age incredibly well, over the next 5-10 years.
But a wonderful sort of delicate note. It's Saint Emilion sort of, but that's after it's aged a little bit.
Sure.
And that's got a fair fruit. Yeah,
it's got a fair amount of Merlot in there. So which is always nice. I love Merlot from Texas, by the way. Right. But yeah, it offers a nice velvet to that wine. So Joe, is Abe Lincoln looking a little cross-eyed behind you?
He's wondering about my haircut.
Yeah. Hey, did you pick up the saddle?
I did. I left it next to a table with David. So who knows where the saddle is now?
Great.
Lincoln is saying, I founded the Republican Party. Anyway, I'll just leave it right there.
Wow. When I do this, Kaylin, it means mute the mic.
Bobby has the power.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, unfortunately, because of the inclement weather coming in here and the freezing rain, yesterday my original flight got canceled. I rebooked for later tonight, and then 3 hours after I booked that, it got canceled. I'm not coming home till Friday morning.
You've got to stay. You got 2 more days of gin.
Yeah, actually, gin ended this evening. That's why it was so late getting on.
You want to juice now?
No, now I'm on the bourbon. What else is there to do in Louisville? But I have this great idea.
Out there.
Yeah. No, actually, tomorrow I'm running by a still manufacturer here, Vendome, and going to look and talk about stills. So it'll be kind of fun.
Cool.
Right
Well,
on.
the weather is strange. I was talking to my sister this morning. She was,
Yeah.
of course, out for a walk in Dallas, and it was probably in the 20s. And she was passed by a guy running barefoot. Now, what this means, I don't know, but
Could you explain something to me?
I'll try.
Where does her love of meteorology come from? She loves to talk about it with Jet. Cousin Andrew says she loves to talk about it. Where does that, any idea where that comes from? Did your mother or father like that?
No,
Okay.
no.
Joe,
Not that I ever heard.
Anywho.
Joe, I'm telling you right now, if you ever want to have another turnover, well, yeah, no, the weather's been crazy. It was absolutely frigid out. The daytime high was supposed to be in the upper 40s, and it was 32. So that cold front was moving through early today.
Yeah, whenever left the house this morning, it was 34,
Mhm.
gorgeous. And then
Yep.
by the time I got home, it was 28. So it never got better. It just
Wow.
the same or worse.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay, so what I'm very interested, because I've not taken part of the whole discussion tonight, but on the food choices that you guys have.
Let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
For those of you wondering where John is and what he's doing, only thing I would say is that John Leahy is under construction.
Exactly. John Leahy's under construction.
For adding an addition to.
Hey, Joe, that's the last time I dress up just to talk to you.
But I want to again just say how great I think this wine is. And Bobby, can you hear us? I know you're taking your things down. Are you still on deck?
He's been doing a great
Larry,
job.
He can
Yeah.
hear you, but he's
All
not
right.
speaking.
I wanted to hear what you thought about this wine, but Kaylin, you may have to speak up. Let's talk a little bit more about this wonderful Cabernet.
Okay, absolutely. So I am very much a big fan of the Canada Cab. I know that there tends to be almost a line drawn, and I do love the fruit that Jet produces that allows us to make fantastic wines. But I just tend to lean towards the Canada Cab side. And it's interesting to see this wine because it does have a bit more maybe bramble fruit components versus bright red fruit. I'm still picking up like the lovely pyrazine, green pepper, white pepper components as well. But it's so rich. The tannins are very lush. They're present, but not astringent. And it's just it's a gorgeous wine. And I'm just happy to have a chance to taste it right now, and I'm excited to see what it does in 3 months and in 6 months and a year and in 3 years and beyond.
John, I don't know if your memory of this is probably quite good, but this 18 is a special wine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we actually had a bottle of that last week before Jody left. We had a very, very simple dinner of that, and I used a little bit of it reduction for the mushrooms that went on top of a steak. So, which holds true to my adage: never, ever, ever cook with a wine that you're not willing to drink. But yeah, it's.
I think it's great.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's a great contender. It's doing pretty well too. Aging in glass, and this next year we're going to see how well it does contest wise. So that'll be fun.
Well, a gold medal for openers,
Right,
in California. In how many cases do we know, Bobby, or is Bobby able to talk to us? Or
There's about 800 cases, Doc. So
only
it's got to
800?
be about 800. Yeah, that's within the ballpark of what there's actually in the warehouse right now.
I wish we had more. It's wonderful.
Yeah, exactly.
I already told Bobby to hold it, but I think he's going to sell it, so we're okay.
Yeah. Well, we are, we're putting together the 19, so that'll be fun.
Yeah. So should we talk about what to eat with these wines?
Oh yeah,
Hello.
Okay.
I definitely
Hello.
want to hear what you guys have.
I'll go first.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
yes.
volunteer myself this time. I've been thinking about this a lot. I think that the Chardonnay, I would like a good truffle mac and cheese. I think it'd be gorgeous. I think with the Claret, I would probably go for something along the lines of some type of manchego cheese dish. And then I think for this cab, I may go into like a lamb burger zone with
Oh,
some type of perhaps blue cheese. It'd be gorgeous.
Oh, the right blue cheese would be great with that wine.
Mhm.
Yeah,
oh,
absolutely.
totally. I agree.
Yeah, we did a blue cheese tasting several years ago. At the end of the day, it was rather cloying on your palate, but Cabernets do very well with a really good blue cheese. I was really surprised.
Yeah.
So I'll say, I'll preface this by saying one of my newfound things I love doing with my children, particularly with my 7-year-old and my 10-year-old, is cooking together. I've discovered that I can pretty much get them to try anything if they've cooked it. And my 10-year-old now is Mr. I have to do everything myself. So he and I did some scallops the other night with sort of a truffle orzo. And I was just thinking that
Wow.
actually, I'm wishing that we had the Claret for that. And we did a nice salmon the other night that would have been really nice with Chardonnay, but it's fun to think about doing that with him.
Wait a minute. Your oldest not only plays a mean game of golf, but he also cooks.
Right, he's trying. He wants to learn. He and I, for the last 2 weeks, when we cook dinner at night, he and I have had the Olympics on in the kitchen making
Nice.
dinner together.
Oh,
And
that's awesome.
and my 7-year-old is learning to play the guitar, so he's playing guitar in the background while we're cooking, which is kind of fun.
This is yeah. It's nice in the kitchen.
That's amazing.
Now, if your youngest could just learn how to mow the lawn.
The older two would definitely like him to learn that.
I
The
bet.
youngest is pricing Corvettes. I can do it. So, yeah.
Wait a minute. Did I just hear Margaret's voice?
I think you might have. I don't know.
You look so down. I must tell you, you look wonderful.
Well, I am getting ready to go to dinner, and when one is in this part of the South, one dresses for dinner. So
That's it.
I still have to put on the choke collar.
Oh. You are a totally different person in your dress up, and it looks great. And all three of these wines are divine. I will tell you.
They're
Each one
outstanding.
you can have alone or with the different foods that everybody's mentioning, but it's wonderful. Thank you.
Well, I love making them. There isn't anything that's been half as fun as making really good Texas wine from Texas fruit. I'm not joking. It's been a blast.
Well, John, you've invented it. It's the truth. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you have.
John, you just make good wine.
Hey, that means I get to buy my house. Can I take
That's great.
So Bobby, what are you gonna pair? I mean,
Am I back? Am I back?
We're
Everybody?
back,
Okay.
and you've got lamb burger and truffle mac and cheese to follow up on, pal.
No, for your birthday, Bob. What's the birthday dish?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
With
what?
these wines.
Oh my goodness. Well, we tried our hand at paella last night.
Sweet.
But Nicole kept mentioning brisket today, so I think I have a little hankering for brisket. So I think a nice brisket with the Claret, or even the Canada Cab. I mean, just the depth. But this weather, I mean, a pot roast would be amazing right
Ooh.
now.
Yeah.
So I think that would be number one.
You can do a mean pot roast in the what's the quick cook, the pressure cooker?
A pressure,
Thing.
that is an Instant Pot.
Instant Pot.
Pot, yeah.
Instapot, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So
That all sounds lovely. So what do you like for your birthday dinner? Like if you could pick anything in the world,
oh my gosh.
and anything in the world with no pressure on Angela to fix it for you.
Oh man.
But it's stroganoff.
Jeez. That's a tough one. I love Mexican food. That's probably my number one favorite
Yeah.
of all time. So probably a nice homemade enchilada dish would be just fine with me.
Always, that always is fun.
Yeah. I bet a good mole would go well with the claret.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I still think it's San Antonio.
What?
Go ahead. Go
No,
ahead.
I was just gonna say, I was gonna give Bobby a little help because I was gonna say I'm still kind of on Team Lamberger.
Yes. That blue cheese.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know.
right. Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, gee.
Oh, and goat cheese. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Can't beat it.
My choice is with the Chardonnay, and a couple of weeks ago, Margaret made a Dover sole,
Wow.
fresh Dover sole, sitting uncooked, ready to go into a skillet with butter, and then making the Beurre Blanc sauce fresh, and
Nice.
then cooking the sole for 2 minutes, so that it was just right, and fresh sauce was just yeah. And
That's
every
awesome.
French restaurant I go in that has Dover sole, I have Dover sole.
La Grande Wheat.
Grand Louis or Bernardine or Jean Georges
Oh,
in New York, all those places. This was the
Oh,
best up there. It was absolutely stunning. And our wine would be happy to be at that picnic.
Yeah.
I can tell you. Our
Chardonnay would be wonderful at that picnic. Are you kidding me? Yeah.
In a heartbeat.
Yeah. Well,
good.
yeah. That Chardonnay holds up very well to that nice anisette of tarragon and that fat of the butter. Yeah, that would be great.
Right.
But John, I
This is-
can't get over this 18 Canada Cab. This is what a star this is. Boy, way to go. Someday
Yeah.
we'll really, if everybody's lucky. Right?
Yeah, well, I think that happened. Was that one that went out with the wine club this week, Bobby? No.
No.
Oh, too bad. No. So Joe, I got to hear food because now you started with scallops, but come on.
I was just wondering. I was having I was having very tangential thinking. I heard mole, and then I started thinking about. I was thinking about memories, so I started thinking about when I was a kid. I don't know if it was one of your patients that asked you, but every year we would go down, I think during Nyosa, and you would help cook fajitas
Yes.
next to the river. And I was thinking just on a whim, it might be fun to have fajitas with the claret.
Would that be
Ooh.
good? Yeah.
That's awesome.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good ones. Yeah.
good choice.
That would be good because that there's a little bit of because of the peppers and stuff, that little Parazine match there. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be nice. That would be very, very nice. So, wow, that sounds really good. Now I'm completely hungry and I can hardly wait to go to dinner.
Is he breathing helium?
I think so.
So, Bobby, what's on tap for next week?
Next week, we are rounding out. It's the finale on the road to double gold.
Sweet.
So we are doing the 2019 Viognier that's in distribution. We've got the 2019 Malbec Reserve, and then the 2018 Wilmot Family Cab, which whatever's went out with this last one, that's what we got. We don't have much left of it at all.
Yep.
So, really excited to taste those with everybody.
Hey, there better be 6 bottles still left in my office when I get back.
Right.
That sounds like a lovely lineup. Bobby,
gonna
you've
be
done
good.
such a great job of pairing these wines for these tastings. It's awesome. Yeah.
It's a team effort here, and really appreciate everybody jumping on together to keep this going, because just the stories and all this fun stuff is just amazing. I really do enjoy this.
Monster,
on.
you are always wonderful to have you a part of these, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, and Kaylin, if anybody gives you any hell, you just tell them to come find me.
You're already on my list. I have a card ready to go. Hand it out.
Right on.
Awesome. Well, again, this weekend we got Wine Club Pickup Party.
Right.
One more this coming weekend.
On
Hopefully
Sunday.
we don't. This Sunday, yeah. Hopefully don't have to dress up in our parkas.
Right.
Sunday should be better. Sunday's looking better. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But,
we're excited to have everyone out. If anyone is planning on coming and hasn't RSVP'd, feel free to contact the wine club. We'd be more than happy to set it up for you. It's just so we have a head count so we can have enough cheese for everyone to enjoy. We've got the wine, worry not.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
What time's the pickup party start?
It does begin at 12 noon on Sunday. We open at 12 noon, so it begins
Okay.
then. And we are open until 6 p.m., so you're able to pick up your wines until 6. However, our last sales or the last start time for tastings or wine by the glass is at 5:30. So just keep that in mind. We do anticipate we'll be busiest between about 12 noon and 2:30. That seems to be peak timing for most of our members. And we obviously want to take as much care as we can when checking people in, making sure that everything is correct. And so it may be a little slow at the beginning, but lots of goods this weekend. And we actually have a guest chocolatier coming out who will be doing chocolate pairings with their wines. We've got live music the whole day, of course, charcuterie and cheese. And we will have a guest engraver on site who can engrave bottles with custom messages right in front of you. So if you've got birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, Mother's Day coming up, anything like that.
Bobby's birthday.
We'll be there and be able to sort those out for you. So it's going to be a really good time and we're excited. And hopefully the weather the little cold front just moves on through real quick. And I know it is right now slated to be better than it is currently.
Yes.
And I'm going to manifest better weather for us all.
There you go. Yeah.
Thank you.
Together as a team.
Yeah.
John, thanks for the appearance. Appreciate
Yes. Thank
Absolutely.
it. Feel honored. Cheers.
Yeah.
Cheers. Everybody
Thanks.
have a great week.
Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see y'all next week again. Appreciate y'all.
Right on.
Thanks, Bob.